All right, we're going to get to the Riders back half of this hour. We have to talk Blue Jays. That's why we bring in Arash on a Monday. And I said Arash off the start of the show, I'm really happy because there's so many people that are just so passionate about this team. People I know, people that I love. They are on the wagon. So I'm kind of sitting on the back on the tailgate. I'm on, I'm off. What a weekend. I'm not believing anybody, though, that says, hey, I told you this was going to happen, because that's not true.
Well, it's not true because 10 days ago, none of us thought this was going to happen. I mean, let's be real. You know, it reached, remember, John Schneider, basically, I believe his direct quote was, some people think the sky is falling. I'm here to tell you the sky is not falling. Like that's kind of where things were. And all of a sudden they win, you know, they sweep the Rays the last 3 games of the regular season. That sneaks them the division title. And it's almost like all that champagne contains some kind of magic fairy dust on the bats, because they just mashed their way through the first 2 games. And Canada's on board, guys. Like, viewership averaged 3.5 million each of Saturday and Sunday. 1 out of 4 Canadians watched at least some of it. And if they saw Vladimir Guerrero Jr. open the series hitting a home run to the moon, and then following that up on Sunday with the first postseason grand slam in franchise history, they're starting to see why Vladdy got $500 million at the start of this season.
It's funny, Arash, on Saturday we were at the in-laws having supper, and at this point the game is 9-1. And I want to turn the channel to what? Listen, let's not even get into that. The subject came up, I avoided it. It's 9-1, but the Lions Stampeder game had started, and I wanted to turn the channel. And my father-in-law, who's 83 years old, comes flying across the kitchen. I thought he was going to tackle me into the little landing down below where the TV is, that I would dare suggest it's the 9th inning and it's 9-1. We changed the channel before the game was complete. Because
I'm picturing Macho Man Randy Savage flying through the air with a clothesline in the middle of the ring. Here's what's interesting, guys. The thing about the Blue Jays is that people may not pay that much attention to them, if at all, through the regular season. And maybe it's because, especially for an older generation, especially because it was such a novelty when they came into existence in the 70s. You know, baseball has come to Canada. It almost like gave a validation to our country as a sports country. They may not be following through the regular season, but good luck on Thanksgiving weekend getting that remote or getting that channel changed. It's not going to happen. This is one of those things that April, May, June, July, August, they'd probably tell you to buzz off if you wanted to watch the Blue Jay game. But come postseason, come playoffs, there's a lot of thoughts about Joe Carter. There's a lot of thoughts about George Bell. There's a lot of thoughts about Jose Bautista. It's amazing how generationally this is different when it comes to baseball and the Blue Jays.
Why should we be surprised with what Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is doing?
Because he had a really rough September. And probably the best thing that happened to Vlad was the Blue Jays winning the division, and they had 6 days off, and the rest helped him a ton. And he also went into the lab and kind of tweaked a couple of things. But remember this, and I touched on it earlier, this is the face of the franchise. This is the face of baseball in Canada. Like, if you go to Montreal today and you just say Expos, there are 3 Expos in franchise history that matter more than anybody else. It's Gary Carter, Larry Walker, and it's Vladimir Guerrero. Like, Vlad carries with him lineage in Canadian baseball history. He was born in Montreal. When they signed him as a kid, as a teenager from the Dominican 10 years ago, there was promise from that moment that his dad made the Hall of Fame, and Vlad's going to be even bigger and better. And then after a rough September, what does he do? He arrives and does this. There's a difference between a star and a superstar. A superstar lives up to all of it when it matters the most. And Guerrero, through these first 2 games, has done exactly that. Now, can this continue? That becomes the question as the series heads back to the Bronx.
I know the Delano de Shields fan club in Montreal is disappointed.
Yes.
He didn't throw him in there, but we'll let that slide.
Jeff Reardon.
Yeah.
Jeff Reardon with the beard.
Arash, I want to get your take on this because I know it happened in game 1, but to me, this may have decided the series. When Aaron Judge swung on what would have ended up being ball 4 with the bases loaded, which would have brought in a run, which would have tied the game at 2, but instead he swings at a pitch so far out of the zone, then he's out, and then that next inning, the Jays come back and they just blow the doors off. Right there, I'm like, that could be the series in game 1 because their superstar made an error, and Aaron Judge usually doesn't chase. He's having a good series, but that was just so uncharacteristic. That was bad situational baseball from him, not somebody you normally see make those kinds of errors because he's used to the big moments. But the moment, I think, got him.
Well, Maz, I'm going to rewind 4 pitchers prior to that 3-2 count. Bases loaded, 6th inning, 1-run game. Mm-hmm. It's an 0-1 count, and Kevin Gausman absolutely spikes a pitch into the dirt. Now, I am telling you, 90 to 95 times out of 100, that is a wild pitch that's going to the backstop, and that's trouble. That's a run scored. That is maybe the end of Gausman there. Who knows? It's 2-2. Yankees have 2 more in scoring position. That counts 1-1. Alejandro Kirk made an absolute world-class stop there. He absolutely was able to scoop that ball out of the dirt, prevents the run from being scored, which leads to the full count, which leads to all of that. On the same day, Kirk hit a home run of his own, a tear that he's been on through this last week. Very quietly, Alejandro Kirk on both sides, behind the plate and at the plate, has become maybe the most important player on this Blue Jays roster, and he did it behind the plate first that led to the Judge strikeout 4 pitches later.
He looks like the kind of guy that would get no respect. And he's getting no respect.
He doesn't say much. He's kind of an under-the-radar guy. There's not a lot of kind of emotion with him. He's just kind of that Energizer bunny. But he's been vital to managing this pitching staff. Here's another amazing part. We can get into this a little bit tomorrow too, guys. In any other situation, a front office is getting their legs taken right to the fire here. If you have Jose Barrios, Max Scherzer, and Chris Bassett not on the playoff roster, that's over $50 million of salary that's not on your postseason roster. And instead, a kid who went through 5 levels of minor league baseball this year is the one getting it done for you. It's amazing how it's gone with Trey Savage. But, again, we can talk more about this tomorrow. It's been unreal how the Blue Jays, there's no linear path to winning and success. But, man, that is a wild one.
Tomorrow for the Yankees, you get Rodon. If I'm the Yankees, because who pitched yesterday? Was that Field?
It was Max Fried.
Your father-in-law.
Sorry.
Yeah.
My father-in-law. Trust me.
It would have been an upgrade.
I would have moved up Schlittler just because this could be a very short series, and Schlittler may not even get a chance to pitch, and he looked incredible in the wild card.
Hard to do it to a kid on 3 days rest.
I know
that's a tough ask. Who's on the road, all those things. Look, I will say this: I actually think it's advantage Yankees tomorrow, and I'll tell you why. I know this sounds crazy because of how well the Blue Jays bats have gone, etc. Nobody has a scouting report on Trey Savage, just like nobody has really much of a scouting report on Schlittler. And this is part of the whole thing, is that the Yankees hitters were all going back to the dugout, looking at the tablet saying, okay, I need some info on this. I mean, the splitter's so nasty and the release point is so high. But Shane Bieber is a former Cy Young Award winner. He's been in the big leagues for almost a decade. The Yankees know him through the AL when he was with Cleveland before and now with Toronto. There's going to be a book on Bieber. You saw what happened yesterday, guys. Once Savage left the game, the Yankees' bats started to heat up against known commodities, a.k.a. the Toronto bullpen. I still think this series is far from over. Remember, the bat flip game of 10 years ago, the Jays were down 2-0 in that series, came back home, won it in Game 5 on the bat flip. There is a lot of baseball left to go.
Let's leave it at that as a tease for our hit tomorrow. And I'm just looking at Sports Select right now. Yankees are the favorite tomorrow. Toronto on the spread, 0.5, pays 209.
There you go.
We'll see if that moves for tomorrow. I doubt it will, but we'll recap tomorrow. Thanks for doing this on Monday, Arash.
You got it, boys. Exciting times.
Isn't it? How much is
Yeah.
If a guy wanted to go to one of those, like the game yesterday in Toronto, what was the get in the door price?
Get in price. The last I saw was $270 US upstairs. But I'll tell you this, I went for a walk. I know, surprising. Saturday around, 11 a.m. for a 4:00 game. And I don't want to say everybody downtown was in blue, but everybody downtown was in blue. Like patios were getting going at around noon for a 4:00 start. Yeah. There's a genuine excitement, and that's before they got off to the start that they've gotten to.
Just like when the Argos play. So we'll recap tomorrow. You're back on. Thanks, buddy. Thanks for doing this. Really appreciate it.
You got it. Good boys.
Right on.
Of course.